Alright, welcome back. Now moving on to some more syntax. Over here in this video, I will be introducing you to a concept that you might not fully understand right now, but it's important syntax. So like the syntax is coming before the concept. So I'm going to be using something called conditional if statements, which is the next section of this course. So after we're done with basic syntax, we're going to move on to adding logic to our code, but I'm going to give you a little bit of sneak peek to that to basically demonstrate another important aspect of Python and how it's different from other languages. So the function of these brackets that I mentioned earlier is fulfilled in Python by indents and something called code blocks. So for example, if I'm going to make some space here, and I'm gonna say if I'm gonna declare my name again. If name is Sabir, and I'm gonna say if. It's not important for you to understand this syntax right now. What I want you to understand is the parts that I point out. If name is equal to Sabir, then notice the colon. After the colon, if I press enter, it's going to go into a new line and it's going to leave some space. That's Python auto indenting for me, because it knows that after an if statement and after a colon there's going to be a code block. So over here I'm going to write a code block. Print hello, print. I added another when I press enter again, it added another line leaving some space here. Hello. Then I'm gonna do name and then print what a lovely day. And then if I want to exit out of this code block, I just hit backspace. Now I'm out of the code block, and I can now run this code, and this is like, it reads like English. What it reads like English is basically what it's doing is checking if name is equal to Sabir, which it is as we declared it over here. It's going to run all of this code. This colon is what allows Python to know when to add this code block spaces, but you can add it yourself as well by pressing the tab button. So yeah, the tab button is basically indenting yourself, and we're gonna need that later if we want to indent stuff which Python doesn't sometimes, so we can indent that ourselves. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a comparison as to how other languages implement it and what the bracket system is, and I mean whether that's your cup of tea or not. So this exact same thing I'm going to write in JavaScript over here. So over here you don't need to know any of this. This is a Python course, not a JavaScript course, but I'm just giving you a little bit of an example. I wonder if name, alright, okay, I have to declare the stuff over here. Name is equal to 1. I'm sorry for blanking out over there, but you know, this isn't important stuff, but I'm just making a comparison to help you understand, even though that this is a Python course, but mostly it's a programming course, so these concepts are same across all languages. It's just a syntax that's different, which is why I dedicated a separate section to this. But yeah, I'll show you what I meant by the daunting syntax of brackets, even though people who are used to this would disagree with me. So yeah, this is how I would write this exact same thing in JavaScript. Over here I had to add brackets between the condition I'm defining. Here there are no such brackets, and here I had a colon before it put a code block. Over here I had to have a bracket and I put it into a code block. Now this code block is just to make the code look pretty. Even if this wasn't here, my code will still work. I'll show you. So if I run this, it printed all of those things. But if I bring that code back, and I don't have this code block here, I have this all just back here. I run this, it still ran. But over here in Python, so what I'm basically trying to say is that the code block and the indentation thing is unique to Python in a way that is not important in other languages. Over here, what's important is the brackets. So what I could have done is I could have had all of this code in one line. So for example, I could just take it, put it in one line. Even though this doesn't look pretty, it'll still run. Oh, it's not going into a line because I don't have enough space, but look at that. So I can even move the bracket up there, and now if I run it, it still ran. See, so over here what was important was that my condition, the code block, the block that I had to run is inside these brackets. In Python, I can't do that. If I remove this space right here, I'm going to remove all of these spaces and run it again. Boom, error. It's an indentation error. It's a very specific kind of error. And if I put this all in the same line, even, so I'll take it, I'll put it all over here. Even though there are no semicolons in Python, but you can do this. It's not preferred. Yeah, so this is another way, semicolons, to run the same to run a single line which has multiple different instructions. But what I was trying to demonstrate was that the indentation and the code block thing is important in Python, unlike in other languages. So yeah, that was the topic of this video, to show you what the colon does. It's basically a starting point for a code block. What a code block is stuff that comes after a colon and has a level of indentation. So you'll see when we do bigger examples, you'll see that there can be multiple levels of indentation which will serve as layered brackets. So basically, this is a 2-layered bracket. What this would correspond to is basically 2 levels of indentation. So yeah, we'll see a lot of that when we build bigger projects, but the purpose of this video wasn't the actual code and what I'm writing. It was to introduce you to the concept of code blocks and indentation, and how important indentation is, so you don't keep seeing the infamously most annoying error in Python, which is the indentation error. Alright, see you in the next one.